I am so sick of this lame excuse to try to get black people to vote for the Republican Party. MLK, and you're talking about MLK Sr., was a Republican and was more intelligent than people today. So are you insinuating that MLK Sr. was more intelligent than all the black people today? Because that's what that sounds like. And the intelligent thing would be for you to understand that MLK Sr., who was growing up during Jim Crow laws, and during that time frame, the Republican Party of that time frame is not the same Republican Party that is in existence today. Through the period of Jim Crow, the Dixiecrats moved over into the Republican Party, those who wanted to maintain slavery, because yes, it was the Democrats who wanted slavery in the South. But once they lost after the Civil War, and they saw that black people were being voted into office, they then crossed over into the Republican Party. So by the time we get into the 70s, the Republican Party is not the same Republican Party of Lincoln. It's not the same Republican Party that MLK Sr. ascribed to. And if you were talking about MLK Jr., MLK Jr. never spoke about his political affiliation or his politics. He spoke to both parties all the time because he recognized that you have to be able to play both sides of the fence in order for you to be able to get what you desire from this government, because all you're looking at is pretty much an Ouroboros. You're looking at the same body of the head of a snake that's eating his own tail. You're not looking at two different parties with two different true ideologies when it comes to black people. Maybe when it comes to certain other things, yes. But neither party has actually been a great benefit to black people. What did Lincoln say? If I could have freed the slave, if I could have kept the Union without freeing one slave, he would have. And what did him and Monroe do after that? They tried to export as many of the former slaves out of America into Liberia. Now, you also have to look at that Monroe started the Freedmen's Bureau, or Lincoln, one of them started the Freedmen's Bureau, but it was mostly done under Monroe. And in the Freedmen's Bureau, this was supposed to, and the Freedmen Bank is what I actually meant. The Freedmen Bank, it was actually supposed to be a bank where former slaves can put their money into so that they can buy property. But the overwhelming majority of funds and loans that were guaranteed to people went where? They went to those former slave owners. So you can't tout the Republican Party as a party that was for black people or even for equality, because they weren't for equality. They had to be forced to give equality. We had to get out there, my ancestors, because I didn't, I was born in 71, had to get out there and march and risk their lives in order to gain some smidgen of equality in this country so that the Jim Crow laws would kick down. But have you noticed that neither Republicans nor Democrats wanted to vote for anti-lynching laws in many of the states? Isn't that interesting? In states like Mississippi, which is Republican like a motherfucker, they voted down anti-lynching laws. So don't tout Republicans as if they are for what the Constitution, although it didn't mean it at the time, but what it stands for now, that each person should be guaranteed their inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because those ideas were not meant for black people, they were not meant for any person of color, and they were not meant for women, period. They were only meant for land-owning white males. That's it. And no one else. But it's great that those words were so vague that they didn't apply those actual tenets that it can mean that for everybody. And that's what we should be striving for, regardless of party, which is why I'm an independent, is that we should be striving for every person to have an equal opportunity in this country to become as great as they possibly can, or to be a shitbird if they so choose. But look at how we govern this country. And I'm just going to use one example. Currently in most states, federal government dollars from homeowner taxation, the federal government dollars that goes to school are based on homeowner taxation. The more and higher the taxes are in a community, the more educational dollars that community get. That just increases the opportunity for those children who are already growing up in affluent families to gain a higher level of education, to be more qualified to go to better colleges than those who grow up in poor neighborhoods. If this country was truly trying to be great, that one simple thing would make a huge difference if the majority of tax dollars for education went to the schools that had the least. If the tax dollars was given to such a degree that every school taught the exact same curriculum. If you have AP courses or advanced courses, whatever you call them, or STEM courses, whatever they call them today, in one school, you have them in every school. That way, every student gets the same opportunity to prove how equal or unequal they are and have the same opportunities to become productive citizens in this country. But you don't want to talk about that. You don't want to talk about the real history. You don't want to talk about what still is an egregious situation in this country. Instead, you want to say that, well, MLK Jr. was a Republican and he was smart, saying that we're all stupid if we're not Republicans. I need y'all to take y'all heads out of your party's collective asses and recognize that the reality of things is that this country has never been what the Constitution says it should be. When we can do that, then this country can be the greatest country on this planet. But until such time happens, we will always be lacking and always be just a little short. But in this case, to some people, we're a whole hell of a lot of a way short. So always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.